And you recognize this particular bag?
Yes, I do.
Is that one from your house?
Yes, it is.
Wait a moment, Your Honor. I removed from that bag a white envelope on which is written one piece of green paper with writing. Taking out a piece of green paper with writing on it, I'm going to ask if you recognize what that is.
Yes, it's my grocery list.
Is that your writing?
Yes, it is.
And does that something, can you tell us how it came to be inside the brown paper bag that you recognize?
When I get through grocery shopping, when I leave the supermarket, I always throw the list in my bag.
And so this is the shopping list that you made?
Yes, it is.
Were you present in court when your daughter, Kim Goldman, testified?
I don't remember if I was or not, if I was asked to leave or not. I don't remember.
Do you remember coming to court with her on the day that this bag and its contents were brought to court?
Yes, I do.
And by that I refer to item number 30.
Yes.
Did you see what she placed inside the bag?
Yes, I did.
And what was that?
Ron's shirt and pants.
Waiter years one?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so is this the bag that she, and the contents that she brought with her at People's 30 to court?
Yes, it is.
Just one, few questions.
Please.
Ms. Goldman, as I understand your testimony, this was brought to court from your home,
Yes, it was.
so I'm clear. Detectives Tippin and Carr did not bring that bag to court. You brought it along with your daughter, is that right?
Kim brought it. Kim Goldman brought it.
Kim Goldman brought it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know who Detectives Tippin and Carr are?
I've never met them.
All right, thank you very kindly. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Ms. Clark? All right, thank you very much, Ms. Gold. All right, next witness.
This will be Detective Mark Furman. Can we approach?
Yes, with the report, please. Gentlemen, with regards to the next witness, I need to look at a couple of exhibits before we proceed. I'm going to ask you to step back. We should have taken about 5 or 10 minutes.
In addition to,
All right, I notice we have a couple of new boards just being brought in.
yes, Your Honor. The defense has not seen these boards, and I would invite them to take a look now,
All right.
court's permission. We're also going to need a couple of moments to get some reports now here.
Please.
paperwork that way.
Reports.
I'm sorry?
You indicated there's some reports.
They're not here yet.
Are they necessary to begin?
Yes. Absolutely.
Darden, do you want to move the exhibits? All right, Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please. Gentlemen, be seated. All right, the people may call their next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. The people call Detective Mark Furman.
All right, Detective Furman.
Raise your right hand, please. You do solemnly swear that the testimony you may give in the trial counsel before this court will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat in the witness stand and state and spell your first and last name for the record.
Mark Furman, M-A-R-K, F-U-H-R-M-A-N.
Ms. Clark.
Thank you. Detective Furman, can you tell us how you feel about testifying today?
Nervous? Reluctant?
Can you tell us why?
Throughout, since June 13th, it seems that I've seen a lot of the evidence ignored and a lot of personal issues come to the forefront. I think that's too bad.
Okay. Heard a lot about yourself in the press, have you?
Daily.
In light of that fact, sir, you've indicated that you feel nervous about testifying. Have you gone over your testimony in the presence of several district attorneys in order to prepare yourself for court and the allegations that you may hear from the defense?
Yes?
And in the course of that particular examination, sir, was the topic of your testimony concerning the work you did in this case, the actual visitation to Bundy and Rockingham, was that discussed?
No.
And deal with side issues, sir?
Yes, it was.
All right. Now, what was the purpose of that exercise?
I've never been confronted with a criminal proceeding such as this, so I think it was a concern that some of these issues have never been breached before.
When you say you've never been confronted with a criminal proceeding such as this, you've testified before, haven't you?
Yes.
In criminal cases?
Yes.
Homicide cases?
Yes.
So what do you mean when you say a situation like this?
Well, it seems that the issues we were concerned with weren't evidentiary in nature or about the crime, mostly of personal nature.
All right, sir. Can you tell us how you're employed right now?
I'm a detective for the city of Los Angeles, currently assigned to West Los Angeles homicide.
How long have you been so employed?
19 years, six months.
And is that since you've joined Los Angeles Police Department?
Yes.
Can you tell us what your assignments were on June the 12th and the 13th?
I was a detective assigned to West Los Angeles homicide.
Okay. That was in 1994.
Yes.
In 1985 and 86, where were you assigned, sir?
West Los Angeles Patrol,
And what were your duties in that capacity?
mostly a patrol car.
Now, in the West Los Angeles area you were assigned to, sir, did that include the Brentwood area?
Yes.
Did that area cover some very wealthy communities,
Yes.
include celebrities?
Yes.
Now, directing your attention to the year of 1985, sir. Were you a patrolman at that time?
Yes, I was.
Did you respond to a radio call which led you to the location of 360 North Rockingham in Brentwood?
Yes.
And you were on duty at that time, sir, were you?
Yes, I was.
Can you tell us what the nature of that call was?
It was a 415 family dispute.
And where were you directed to go?
360 North Rockingham.
And when you got there, sir, did you see any other officers present?
There was a West Tech officer already at the scene.
And what is West Tech?
It's private security that's contracted by quite a few of the people in the area.
And how many West Tech officers were present when you got there?
I only saw one.
Did you have a partner that was working with you that day?
Yes.
So the two of you and the West Tech officer were there?
Yes.
Was the West Tech officer already there when you arrived?
Yes.
Where did you go to when you first arrived at the location?
We drove, I believe we drove up Rockingham, turning on to Ashford, which brought us to the Ashford gate, which was open.
And did you drive into the driveway or park outside?
Parked outside.
What happened next?
I walked into the driveway and I saw two people in the driveway.
Who did you see?
I saw Mr. Simpson and a female that was leaning on the hood of a car,
And what kind of car was that?
a Mercedes-Benz.
And can you describe the female that you saw leaning against the hood of the car?
She had her hands to her face, so I couldn't tell much of what she looked like in the face. She looked like she had light hair, and it was hard to judge the height, but I would characterize as average height and average weight.
What was she doing?
She had her hands to her face, and she was sobbing.
And where was the defendant at that time?
He was walking on the driveway.
Which driveway was that?
His driveway at Rockingham, the driveway in Rockingham, right in front of the Mercedes.
Okay. Did you notice anything unusual about the Mercedes?
The windshield was shattered.
Did you look to see what had been the cause of that windshield getting shattered?
I saw a baseball bat that was leaning up against the wall close to the front door of the residence.
Now, did you get a good look at the woman's face?
No.
Could you have recognized her again on a later occasion?
No.
Now, did she say anything to you at the time that you made contact with her?
I made some inquiries as when I first walked up as if they were the residents. Mr. Simpson responded saying that this was his house. And I asked the lady who broke the windshield, and she responded he did.
Did the defendant make any response?
I believe he admitted that he hit it and stating that it was his.
And what was the defendant's demeanor at that time?
Well, he was agitated, but he wasn't out of control. He was just agitated.
Could you tell whether there was any physical injury to the body of the woman?
I couldn't tell, no.
Did you see any signs
No.
of physical injury to her?
Excuse me. No.
And did you ask her if she wanted to have a report prepared?
Yes.
And her response?
She did not. She said no.
Now, at the time that this contact took place, sir, was the West Tech officer there?
I don't know exactly when he left the scene. I didn't. I was concerned with the two people involved in the radio call. I didn't look behind me to see when he left, but he was not there when I turned to leave.
Did you know who he was at the time that you first appeared on the scene?
No,
Ever met him before?
no.
And your partner, do you know where he was at the time you had contact with the defendant and the woman?
My partner was next to me or within a short distance of me. I was taking the lead to at least ask the questions.
Now, did the defendant resist your being on the property at all?
No,
Did you arrest him?
no.
After the female indicated to you that she did not want to file a report, what did you do?
We left the location.
Did you write a crime report of your contact with the defendant and not of that day in 1985?
No, I did not.
Can you tell us, sir, what is a DFAR?
A daily field activities report.
And what is that?
It's your log for all the radio calls that you handle that day, the time you arrive and the time you leave.
Okay. And is that something that is maintained by patrol officers?
Yes, it is.
And what is the purpose of it?
To record the events of the day.
Now, you were working partners with someone else, is that right?
Yes,
Whose responsibility is it to fill out the field activity report log?
that would be the passenger.
Okay, and what were you?
I was the driver.
Okay. Do you know whether your partner, the passenger on that day, filled out a daily field activity report to log in the events of the contact with Mr. Simpson?
I know he made a DFAR. What he put in the entry, I do not know.
Did you make an effort to write anything else?
No.
Now, back in 1985 and 1986, sir, can you tell us whether you knew someone or met someone by the name of Kathleen Bell?
Yes, I can tell you. I did not.
But you do recognize the name, don't you, sir?
Yes.
When was the first time that you heard that name?
It was in '94, I believe in the fall of '94. I don't know exactly what month.
By the fall, you mean September, October?
September, October.
And do you recall when you testified in the preliminary hearing in this matter?
Yes, I do.
And when was that, sir?
I believe July 5th and 6th, 1994.
So you first heard her name after you testified at the preliminary hearing?
Yes.
And how was it that you heard her name? In connection with what?
In connection with allegations of statements I made to her at a date sometime in '85 or '86.
And where did you hear those allegations, sir?
In the news.
And were you informed about a letter she had written in July of 1994 after the preliminary hearing to Johnny Cochran?
Yes, I did.
And have you had an opportunity to review that letter this morning?
I'm not sure if I reviewed that letter. I don't believe I reviewed the letter. I've seen a statement, but I don't think it was that initial letter.
So are you presently very familiar with the contents of the letter that this woman wrote to Mr. Cochran?
Oh, yes.
I'm going to ask that this letter be marked as People's...
102.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Objection.
Yes, sir.
So do you recognize the printing here and the content of what you're seeing?
I'm having a hard time. Some of this is cut off on the right side of the screen.
I know. Okay, I'm going to ask Jonathan to move it to the right, left, so you can see the rest of the lines.
Ms. Clark, would it be easier to give Detective Furman the actual copy, use the display for the jury's purposes?
The only problem is that I don't have an extra copy. Maybe counsel...
You can just read the letter if she wants the court to know the content.
I'd rather show it to the witness, Your Honor.
I'll be happy to have my staff make a photocopy for you.
Great.
With the reporter?
No.
Mr. Bailey? Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our break just so that we can make sure this exhibit is clear and you can read it carefully. Please remember my admonition to you. Don't discuss the case amongst yourselves, form any opinions about the case. Don't conduct any deliberations or allow anybody to communicate with you. Detective Furman, you're ordered to come back at 1:30.
Yes,
All right?
Your Honor.
Thank you, sir. All right, we'll stand in recess, 1:30.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the point.
Are you ready with your exhibit?
Yes, no, I am. Let me indicate to the court that Mr. Bailey was kind enough to help us by having it, the original letter retyped in a form that could be shown more effectively on the envelope. And it is not the original, however. I'm assuming the defense doesn't object.
Are we agreed?
I have a court reporter, Your Honor, I verify.
All right. I'll accept that.
Would you like to see it, Your Honor?
Yes, please. If I could have a copy. Could I have a copy, Ms. Clark?
I don't have an extra, I have the one. So I'll have to be asking for, Mr. Bailey just gave it to me like this.
I didn't expect need for any copies, it's just for exhibition purposes. I assume the
All
exhibit
right.
will be the
Okay.
same.
You know,
All right.
here, what I can do is...
No, it's fine. That's fine. Keep it. Keep it. Let's
No, I
just
have
get
the
the...
original copy. I can give you. So you
No,
can-
I have that.
You have that.
That's why I said keep it. Well, let's roll. Deputy McNair, let's have the jurors, please. please be seated. All right, Detective Furman, would you retake the witness stand, please? Let the record reflect that we have now been rejoined by all 12 members, all the remaining members of our jury panel. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Detective Mark Furman is again on the witness stand. Good afternoon, Detective Furman.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
You're reminded you're still under oath. Ms. Clark, you may continue.
Thank you. Good afternoon. When we left off, Your Honor, we were attempting to show an exhibit, and we now have it in a form that can be shown on the monitor for the benefit of the jury as well as the witness simultaneously.
All right, this is People 102.
I'm going to ask you, sir, when we left off, I asked if you had seen a copy of the letter written by the woman named Kathleen Bell that she wrote in July of 1994 to Mr. Cochran. I believe it was July 19th of 1994. And I was about to ask you to read that letter on the monitor. Could you now do so, sir?
Yes.
I take it you're asking Detective Furman to read the paragraph that's depicted on the monitor?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, for the record, this is the second full paragraph of the letter.
Thank you, Your Honor. First of all, sir, with respect to this paragraph, did you visit a Marine recruiting office located in Redondo Beach in 1985 between 1985 and 1986?
Yes.
Do you remember meeting a woman named Kathleen Bell at that Marine recruiting office between 1985 and 1986?
No.
Did one of the district attorneys on this case ask you to watch Larry King live on television?
Yes, they did.
And do you recall approximately when that was?
I believe it was in the last month. I think it was the program she was on just before the most recent, so I think it would be about a month.
Okay. So about a month ago?
A month, yes.
And for what purpose were you watching Larry King live?
They asked me to just look at the show and see if looking at the woman jogged my memory.
And did you then look at the show, sir?
Yes.
Did you see a woman who called herself Kathleen Bell?
Yes.
And did you recognize her?
No, I did not.
Next paragraph.
All right, record should reflect that what is being displayed now is the third full paragraph.
You've read the conversation thus far as described in the letter?
Yes, I have.
Next paragraph. And have you read that paragraph, sir?
I have.
Did the conversation Kathleen Bell describes in this letter occur?
No, it did not.
Now, during that practice session, at the beginning of your testimony, we referred to a practice session in which there were several district attorneys. We referred to at the beginning of your testimony. That practice or mock cross-examination, and that deal with the anticipated cross-examination on this subject of Kathleen Bell?
Yes, it did.
Did it deal with your actual work on this case as a police detective?
No, it didn't.
And how long did that examination take place for?
20 to 30 minutes.
And that conversation that is described in this letter from Kathleen Bell, did that occur, sir?
No, it didn't.
Now, back in 1985, we were talking about you responded to the defendant's home at 360 Rockingham pursuant to a call where you saw a woman crying, leaning up against a Mercedes-Benz. You recall that testimony, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you ever fill out a report that described that event?
No, I didn't.
Now, you saw that the woman involved with Mr. Simpson was a white woman, didn't you?
Yes.
Did you take any steps to further investigate that incident?
No.
Did you make any effort to encourage that the defendant be prosecuted for it?
No.
Did you attempt to persuade let me back up for a second, the woman that you saw there crying up against the Mercedes-Benz, have you since determined who that was?
Well, since it was told to me who it was, yes.
And that person is?
Nicole Brown Simpson.
Did you attempt to persuade her to seek prosecution for the incident?
No.
Could you have done so?
Yes.
Did you notify any news media about that incident?
No, I didn't.
Did you call the National Enquirer?
No.
Could you have patted the defendant down after that incident?
I believe, considering the call, yes, I could have.
Did you?
No.
Could you have asked for his identification as a result of that incident at that time?
Absolutely.
Did you?
No.
I'm not hearing the witness, so would-
Sure. Detective, yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead, just pull it up just a little. Okay, thank you. Ms. Clark.
Could you have called your supervisor to come and further investigate the incident?
Yes.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
Bailey, can you hear?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Could you have interviewed Mr. Simpson concerning that incident?
Yes.
And did you?
No.
Could you have interviewed Nicole Brown concerning the incident?
Yes.
Did you?
No.
Could you have insisted on some further follow-up of that incident?
I could have, yes.
Did you?
No.
Now, did you continue to work at West LA after that incident, sir?
Yes, I did.
And did you have any additional contact with the defendant after 1985?
No.
Now, you mentioned that you did not write anything down to describe the incident, any kind of report back in 1985. At some point in time, though, did you write something concerning that incident?
Yes, I did.
And what was it that you wrote?
I wrote a letter it was addressed to whom it may concern, but it was addressed to the city attorney's office. I'm sorry, it wasn't addressed to. It was requested by the city attorney's office.
Okay. Now, can you describe for us what that is? What that was? Was it a letter? Was it a report?
I believe it would be characterized as a memo.
And what did that memo contain? What kind of information did it have?
It just described the incident as I remembered it that occurred in 1985.
And why did you write that memo, sir?
It was requested by a detective that was handling a current case in 1989 involving Mr. and Mrs. Simpson.
Next exhibit, Your Honor, is a memo dated January 18th, 1989. Asked it to be People's
103.
103. Thank you. Was it your idea to write this letter, sir?
No.
You wrote it in response to the request of the city attorney?
Yes, via the detective handling the case.
Okay. Okay, what was your position at the time you wrote this memo, sir?
I was a detective trainee.
Still a police officer, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now look on the screen, if you will, sir. Can you show the date, Jonathan? Okay, can you move it up and kind of enlarge it? That's pretty small.
I'm getting seasick here.
I don't know about anybody else, but I can't read that. Can you make that a little bigger, John? It's okay if we see only half at a time. It'd be better to be able to read. All right. Can everybody read that? Okay, thanks.
1492, can you read that? All right. Do we have an extra copy of this?
Certainly.
All right, Ms. Lewis, would you give that to Ms. Robertson for Ms. Hazel? Ms. Barber. Ms. Robertson. Thank you, Mr. Darden.
All right, I'm going to direct your attention, sir, first of all, to that first paragraph. Do you recall writing that?
Yes, I do.
And does that describe the events that you've just described for the jury as you remembered them when you wrote the memo?
Yes.
Is that an accurate depiction of the events?
Yes.
Now, you wrote at the bottom of this, oh, excuse me. You have here at the very top line, sir, a 415 family dispute. Can you tell us what 415 means?
It's a disturbance.
And that's a penal code section, is it?
Yes.
And what did you do with this memo after you wrote it, sir?
At the time it was requested, I typed it and handed it directly to the detective.
Okay. Now, you put down at the bottom here, it seems odd to remember such an event, but it's not every day that you respond to a celebrity's home for a family dispute. For this reason, this incident was indelibly impressed in my memory. Can you... Pressed?
Pressed.
Indelibly pressed in my memory. Can you tell us what you meant by that it was indelibly pressed in your memory?
Well, I had never been to a celebrity's home before on a family dispute. Mr. Simpson was a very famous man, and once I walked in, I recognized him, and those two things would make it a memorable incident.
Mm-hmm. Are you a football fan, sir?
Not as much as a basketball fan, but yes, I am.
Okay, and when you walked onto the property of 360 North Rockingham, did you immediately recognize him?
Once I got into the driveway, yes.
And was that event indelibly pressed in your memory?
And more so when I wrote this than previous to June 12th, but yes, it was then.
Thank you. All right, now is West Los Angeles Detectives your current assignment, sir?
Yes, it is.
And you were so assigned, I believe you told us, on June the 12th and 13th of 1994?
Yes.
On the evening of June the 12th, 1994, at approximately 8 p.m., where were you?
At approximately 8 p.m., I was in east of Palm Desert and La Quinta Resort at a Protective League seminar.
Was that a police officer's function, sir?
Yes, I'm a delegate in the Protective League, or was at that time.
Okay. And what time did you leave?
I believe I left somewhere around 8 o'clock, just as a barbecue was starting.
Okay. And you left, when you left, you drove where?
I drove to my home.
Remember what time you got home, sir?
About 10:30.
And was there anyone home when you got there?
My wife.
What time did you go to bed?
I believe about 11, maybe a little later.
Did you receive a call at some point that night?
Yes,
After
I
you
did.
went to bed?
Excuse me. Yes, I did.
And what time did you get that call?
At 1:05 in the morning.
Did it wake you up?
Yes.
And what were you told in that call?
I was told by my supervisor, the homicide coordinator, Detective Ron Phillips, that we had a double homicide, and it was at 875 South Bundy, and that I would meet him at the station, and we would get a vehicle with a homicide kit and go out to the scene from there.
Were you told anything about the identity of either victim?
Yes, Detective Phillips said that the female victim might be the ex-wife of O.J. Simpson.
And where did the caller tell you to go?
Excuse me. 875 South Bundy.
So where did you go? Wait,
Well, I
let
went
me, when you left your home, where'd you go?
To the police station at 1663 South Butler, West Los Angeles Station.
And did you meet someone there?
Yes,
Who?
Detective Ron Phillips.
And what time did you meet him?
Shortly before 2 o'clock, maybe 1:50.
Did you leave immediately then?
Well, we collected, not immediately, we collected briefcases, flashlights, anything we thought we might need at the scene, put it into a vehicle, and left from the station parking lot.
So did you drive in your own car, or did you go with someone else?
Well, we drove in our own vehicles to the station and then put everything into a police vehicle and left from the station to go to the scene.
So you and Ron Phillips went from the station to the scene together?
Yes, he was driving, I was passenger.
And did you drive to 875 South Bundy?
Yes.
What time did you get there?
02:10 hours is when we signed in to the officer that was running the log.
2:10 a.m.?
Yes.
People's Exhibit number 51. Two, please.
All right, sir, do you recognize the scene that's being shown to you here?
I believe I do.
And what is it?
I believe it's the intersection of Dorothy and Bundy. I believe we're looking at it from the southeast corner across to the northwest corner.
Can you see any crime scene tape in this photograph, sir?
Yes.
And where is it?
It appears to be in front of the brown detective vehicle, in front of the two men standing talking, leading
That-
across the street.
People's Exhibit number 79.
And can you tell us if you recognize what's depicted here?
Yes, this looks like the front of 875 South Bundy.
Do you see crime scene tape in this photograph as well, sir?
Yes.
And is that can you tell us where in the photograph it is?
It's running with the street line on the outboard or the east side of the parkway.
That yellow strip that you see in front?
Yes.
No, wait. Thanks, Jonathan. All right, can you tell us, sir, if you noted what the ambient temperature was when you arrived that night?
I approximated it about 60 degrees.
And when you got there, you've already indicated in the photographs there were police cars there. How many, if you recall?
I believe I saw at least 2 black and whites when I drove up. And I believe we were the first plane or detective vehicle. I'm not sure if I saw one down the alley on Dorothy to the west of the location, but at least two black and whites in front.
Okay. Were they in front of the location, sir?
In front of 875 Bundy? No, that street was blocked off.
Okay. Now, you checked in with a person who was keeping the log, is that what you said?
Yes.
We do have that log in evidence, don't we? It's already been marked, hasn't it? Let's stop with first. Showing you what's been marked as defendant's 1006. Tell us, if you can, point out your name, sir, and your time of arrival.
It's the 10th entry on the log, 0210 hours. Our designation was 8W110, and Phillips and myself are signed in on that block.
As investigators?
Yes.
What's that 8W110? What's that?
That's Ron Phillips' call sign.
Is that what you use when you get on the radio
Yes.
to identify yourself?
Yes.
Now, when you got there, sir, was there any media there?
No.
Were there any people on the street?
Not that I saw. I just saw policemen.
Like any neighbors? Do you see any neighbors around?
I didn't notice any. I know there were none on the west side of Bundy around the front of the location, but I wasn't sure on the east side.
Were there any supervisors present when you got there?
Yes.
Who was there?
Sergeant Rossi, and I believe Sergeant Kuhn, but I'm not sure if he was there at that time for me to see, or it was a little later, maybe a half hour later.
Can you look at the log to refresh your memory as to when Sergeant Kuhn got there?
Yes, it shows Sergeant Kuhn on the third line arriving at 0030 hours, which would be 12:30 a.m.
So does that refresh your memory that he was there before you,
Yes.
as well as Sergeant Rossi?
I'm having a tough time reading the line above, line 9.
Right. Is that where it says supervisor there?
It says supervisor, yes.
And is Rossi in fact a supervisor, sir?
Yes, he is. He's a watch commander.
Do you think this entry here on line 9, the 9th box down, was him?
It appears that it's an RO. Yes, it appears it was.
In any event, do you recall seeing him there when you arrived?
Yes, I do.
Okay, do you recall any staff officers or command level officers there when you got there?
Not at that time.
Now, what was the condition of the crime scene when you found it? When you got there at 2:10?
Well, the streets had been blocked off with crime tape and police vehicles. We were advised that certain streets and alleyways had been blocked off. The front of the residence had been taped off and secured all the way to Dorothy and to the next street to the north. The north-south alleyway directly behind the residence had been blocked off with policemen at both locations to make sure nobody entered the crime scene from either direction.
Okay. So was there anyone moving around inside the crime scene tape when you got there?
No.
Who was did you make contact with the first officer that found the bodies?
Yes, both Detective Phillips and I did.
And who was that?
Officer Risky?
And did you make contact with Sergeant Rossi as well?
Yes, I believe Sergeant Rossi was contacted first. Risky came up while we were speaking to him.
All right, now, Officer Risky, did you know him prior to the night of June the 12th, 1994?
No, I only knew him as Risky.
Did you socialize with Officer Risky any?
No, I didn't know his first name until I saw it on the news.
Now, he was a patrol cop, is that right?
Yes.
Did you expect to see patrol officers at that location when you arrived, sir?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, almost always, a patrol officer is the first officer to respond to a homicide scene. Usually it's from a radio call, and they're the first ones there.
What are a patrol officer's duties at a crime scene?
The first and foremost function would be to make sure that the possible victims are in fact victims and have expired. So to make sure that there's no chance of a resuscitation or saving the people that are, or person that is supposed to be dead. The second would be to make sure that the suspect either has been found, located, and arrested, or he is not at the scene, and make sure that the scene is secure from suspects. And then the third would be, after those two functions, is protect the crime scene and any evidence for the detectives in their investigation.
How many homicide scenes have you appeared at, not handled, but appeared at?
Well, I'd probably say it would conservatively 150 to 200, and generously probably more than 250 to 300.
Okay. And when I say appeared at, can you tell us what kind of functions you performed in those cases, homicide scenes you've appeared at?
Well, from early in my career to responding, just as Officer Risky did, to a radio call, to assisting and being part of homicide investigations, to being a primary involved in investigating the homicide.
So have you ever been a first officer at a homicide scene yourself?
Yes.
Have you ever guarded the perimeter, that is, guarded the crime scene tape at a homicide scene?
Yes, I have.
Have you ever helped to search the area around a crime scene for evidence or suspects?
Yes.
Have you ever door knocked in the neighborhoods around the crime scene area to look for witnesses?
Yes, I have.
And have you ever responded to a crime scene in your capacity as a detective?
Yes, I have.
On how many occasions have you responded as a detective to a homicide scene?
I've been a primary on 5. Probably responded probably to 10, maybe 15, some when I was working robbery.
Okay, now then, in your experience, sir, who do you expect to arrive at a homicide scene before the investigating officer or handling detectives do?
I would expect to see the patrol officers that initially got the call, and what officers they felt that was necessary to seal off the scene properly. I would also expect to see a supervisor, if not the watch commander. I might expect to see a command staff officer or the commanding officer of the division, either be it detectives or patrol.
Okay, and in this particular case, sir, when you responded to 875 South Bundy, in what capacity were you responding to that scene?
I was a detective that was to investigate the homicide.
You were to be the investigating officer?
Yes.
Then what did you expect to have transpired by the time you arrived at the scene?
I expected the scene to be secured, death to be pronounced to the victims, the officer to secure the location, protect the evidence, to make mental notes of where certain things were, and to help assist me in finding a path into the scene. Into the scene.
Okay. When you say help assist me in finding a path into the scene, what do you mean?
The easiest route to disturb the least amount of evidence so the scene can be investigated.
Then I take it, was it your expectation, sir, that someone, at least one officer, would already have been through the crime scene and examined the evidence as it lay, the bodies as they lay, and looked around in general?
Yes, they would have to do that to find out their condition.
Did you have any expectation as to whether or not the immediate crime scene area would have been looked through for suspects?
It would have to be.
And did you have any expectation as to whether or not the immediate crime scene area would have been looked through for weapons?
I would think it would have been, yes.
And then, of course, was it also your expectation that someone would have already, at least one officer, if not several, would have been through the crime scene to look and see where the evidence was and what it was?
Yes.
Now, knowing the possible identity of one of the victims, sir, did you have any expectation as to whether or not there would be any high-ranking police officers already at the scene or coming to the scene?
I would assume that there would be a captain that probably arrived at least. Of course, that happens with quite a few homicides. But I expected to see some command officers, yes.
And was that, why would you expect that based on the possible identity of one of the victims?
I don't think it would be just that. I think a double homicide would probably, I would absolutely be for sure that the detective CO commanding officer would arrive. Maybe the area CO captain.
What's area CO? I'm sorry?
The area commanding officer, in other words, the West LA commanding officer. Maybe the officer of the day, which could be a captain or a commander, and quite possibly maybe even a deputy chief.
So, is a double homicide unusual in your neck of the woods in West LA?
I would say so, yes.
Okay. So, based on that alone, you expected to see all that brass there?
Well, that, and then coupled with the possible identity of one of the victims, I would guess that it would be happening, yes.
Okay. All right. When you met with Officer Risky, what did you do?
Officer Risky explained what he had found, how he arrived at the scene. It was a very general description at that point. He gave an indication that he received a call, a burglar, a possible burglar there now, or something to that effect, across the street. And then he went on to say how he discovered the front of the location and the bodies.
And did he describe to you what he found in the crime scene, sir?
Yes, he described it as he showed me.
People's exhibit number 42, please cut.
Yes.
Here, please.
You recognize the scene depicted here, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is this scene?
This is the front of 875 South Bundy, looking due west from the probably the parkway into the walkway of the residence. The front gate is open.
Can you describe for us the route that you took? And when you say that Officer Risky took you up and showed you, guide the pointer, if you will.
The pointer would have to start off screen to the left, going at an angle farther up.
Farther up?
now going directly, probably at about a 45-degree angle. That would be fairly accurate.
Okay, and tell us where you stopped.
Well, we stopped at the location where the gate post, almost, you can see the entryway. Just to the left of that, there's a post, a
Okay,
little
so-
farther, right there.
And could we put an X where you were standing? Would that be at the end of the line, sir?
Yes, Officer Risky would be in the front, Detective Phillips behind him, and myself in the back.
So you would have been, guide the arrow, please.
I think that'd be about as accurate as we could be right there.
Where's that? There?
No, no.
No?
Let's go right, to the right, arrow to the right. A little more, probably in that area there.
Okay. All right. And then Officer Risky would have been, as we face that photograph, to the right of the arrow?
Yes, right and at an angle that goes towards that, the post or the gate fence.
Okay. And you said who was behind him?
That would be Detective Phillips.
Okay, so you were the last one.
Yes,
And did you have a flashlight with you that night, sir?
yes.
What kind of flashlight was that?
I had a small flashlight that I held on my belt.
Okay. Size of a pen?
Yes, I believe 2 AA batteries, an adjustable head so you could make it a wide beam or a very narrow beam.
And did Detective Phillips have a flashlight with him?
Yes, he had a larger flashlight, I believe. I'm not positive, but I know, excuse me,
Go ahead.
Officer Risky had a large, high-power flashlight with him.
Yeah, that was my next question. Okay. And were they using them?
Officer Risky was using the flashlight.
Now, is there any rules, sir, regarding crime scene examinations concerning how you get access to them, where you're allowed to go, how many people, that sort of thing?
Well, as few as possible. That would be the first rule. And you'd want to be able to take those people without destroying any evidence.
So when you were standing up on the, was that on the shrubbery you were standing there?
Excuse me?
Were you standing on shrubbery or on grass over there?
Yes, it was shrubbery plants.
Did you step on the walkway?
No,
Where the blood's shown here?
no,
Did Detective Phillips do that?
no,
Officer Risky do that?
no, not that I saw.
Okay. What were you able to see from your vantage point where the arrow is shown?
We could see a female victim in a black dress, lying as it's depicted in the photo, head to almost due north, feet almost due south, somewhat face down in a pool of blood. It appeared that that blood was flowing down the walkway, predominantly in the cracks of the tiled walkway.
Those cracks, do you remember that walkway, sir?
Yes,
Is that grouting recessed? Is it deeper or lower than the actual tile?
yes, I can't recall if it was actual tile or a press that they put into the concrete to make it appear that way, but there was recesses between the squares.
Where the grouting was?
Yes.
All right, and what were you able to see from that vantage point, other than the female victim?
Well, Officer Risky used his flashlight to point out several items.
And what did he point out to you, sir?
He pointed out the male victim, for one which wasn't easily seen from that angle.
Hold on.
First, Your Honor, may the print of the image on screen be marked as People's Exhibit 42B?
42B.
Your Honor, this next one is People's Exhibit number 59, and the feet will need to remain.
All right, sir, directing your attention to this scene, do you recognize what you're seeing here?
Yes.
Is that the condition in which you saw the scene when you responded on the night of, early morning hours, actually, of June the 13th?
It wasn't that well lit, but yes, that's his position.
Okay, so it was even darker than it seems here.
It appeared to me, yes.
Were you able to, please describe for us the evidence that you were able to see as Officer Risky pointed it out to you?
The white envelope,
As shown in this photograph?
yes. The male victim,
Is that the position in which you saw him?
yes, to the best of my recollection, yes. Officer Risky also used his flashlight, and the bush with the long leaves at the feet of the male victim. He pointed his flashlight and said that there was a knit cap and a glove there also.
Were you able to see them?
I was able to see something. It was pretty hard to make out exactly what they were from that angle.
So he just told you at that point?
Well, yes.
Did you make some effort to see the knit cap and the glove that he pointed out to you?
At that time, we asked Officer Risky if there was another way we could come into this crime scene.
And why was that, sir?
It was, we'd have to step onto the sidewalk where all the blood was to get into the crime scene or touch the fence, which we were standing next to get around that. We didn't know what was on the other side. We'd prefer to go in another way if we could.
Okay. So were you trying to get a better look?
Yes.
Without disturbing anything?
Yes.
So what did you do?
We retraced our steps backward. We had a discussion, and Officer Risky said, well, we can go in through the alley through the back of the residence.
Okay.
We were pleased with that, so we walked back down Bundy South and west on Dorothy and then to the north-south alley, which was taped off, and we approached the rear of 875 South Bundy.
Okay, now, as you walked up the grassy or shrubbery area, which would be to the south of the walkway, that's the front walkway leading from the sidewalk up to the front steps,
Yes?
did you observe that walkway and the blood that was on it?
Yes.
Did you look to see whether there were any shoe prints in that blood on the front walkway?
The walkway that's leading from the female victim, eastbound,
Right.
I did not see any.
Did you look on the sidewalk? You said you walked down the sidewalk south on Bundy and then west on Dorothy?
No, we walked in the street.
Okay. Did you see anything? Well, strike that. Why'd you walk in the street? Why not on the sidewalk?
The blood emptied onto the sidewalk, and there was paw prints, canine prints, leading south on the sidewalk
Did
in
those,
the blood.
I'm sorry?
The paw prints were in blood,
Bloody paw prints?
yes.
Did you follow those paw prints as you walked down the street?
They headed southbound and then dissipated.
Okay. Where,
Maybe the next photograph be marked People's Exhibit number 104.
All right, People's 104.
never mind. You said you saw bloody paw prints going south on Bundy?
Yes.
Okay. Where did they fade out, if you recall?
If I remember, it was just about at Dorothy.
And then you indicated you went where?
We went west on Dorothy Street to the opening to the north-south alley that led behind 875 South Bundy.
People's Exhibit number 38. Two, please.
Now, who were you walking? I'm sorry, sir. You indicated that you left that area right up next to the mailbox, went down the shrubbery and out to the street. And who was with you at that time?
Detective Phillips and Officer Risky, who was leading.
When you went out into the street and walked south on Bundy and west on Dorothy, who was with you?
Officer Risky in the lead, and Detective Phillips and myself.
And when you got to this location, sir, that's indicated in People's
This is People's Exhibit 38.
38, thanks, Johnson. Who was with you?
Officer Risky was in the lead. He went into the tape and showed us where to walk. Detective Phillips and myself.
Was there an officer guarding this perimeter, sir, this crime scene tape?
I believe there was, but it's not depicted in the photo, but I believe there was someone there, yes.
Did you all go inside the crime scene tape?
Yes.
And then where did you go?
We went into the rear of 875 South Bundy following Officer Risky.
People's Exhibit number 39.
Can you tell us if you recognize this scene, sir?
Yes, I do. That's the rear of 875 South Bundy.
Okay. And is that the manner in which you found it?
Yes.
People's Exhibit number 52.
Do you recognize what's shown here?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's the open garage of the rear of 875 South Bundy, a black Jeep Cherokee sitting in the driveway. Just to the north of the Cherokee is the entrance to a walkway that leads on the north side of the residence.
Okay. And was the garage door open when you got there?
Yes.
Did Officer Risky give you any information about that?
No.
Did you find out whether or not the garage door had initially been open or closed when he arrived?
I did not.
Now, did he point anything out to you at that time around the area of that vehicle?
Not at that time.
What did you do next?
We followed him through the garage past the white Ferrari and in.
I'm sorry.
People's Exhibit number 70. And then People's Exhibit number 74.
Okay. You described the white Ferrari in those past two photographs. Do you recognize what was shown?
Yes.
Was that the Ferrari you referred to?
Yes.
Now, the area to the right of the Ferrari in the photograph, do you recognize that as a path that you took?
Yes, I believe that's the path that leads to the door that leads into the bottom rear of the residence.
And who led the way?
Officer Risky.
When you entered the house, sir, what did you see?
I entered the open door of the rear of the residence. Officer Risky pointed out some ice cream that was on the banister at the bottom of the stairs.
Can you describe that ice cream, sir?
Ben and Jerry's, I'd probably say a medium-sized cup,
What did the ice cream look like?
tan color, lumpy.
Okay. And next?
We walked up the stairs that were directly in front of that door, which led into a walkway which passed the kitchen on the north, a solid wall on the right, where I believe the telephone was, and some pictures, which led into a living room area with an open front door and a dining room area to the left or north.
During that first walkthrough, sir, did you look to see whether there was any obvious signs of disturbance or ransacking or struggle?
I looked, but I didn't see any.
Did you see anything like drawers pulled out or property or items thrown around?
No, it was very neat, very clean, sterile almost.
Did you see any bloody shoe prints?
No,
Did you see any blood smears on the walls?
no,
Did you see any holes in the wall?
no,
Broken furniture?
no,
Spilled purses?
no,
Spilled jewelry?
no.
Now, you mentioned earlier something about robbery, working robberies. Did you ever work any burglary cases?
Yes,
Throughout the course of, you've been on the police force how long now?
19 years, 6 months.
And during that period of time, sir, how many burglary cases approximately or residential robbery cases have you worked?
As far as both patrol and detective?
Right.
That would be in the hundreds.
You seen evidence of ransacking in each of those cases, sir?
Not each, but it's a predominant MO factor on a burglary.
Did you observe anything inside this house that looked consistent with ransacking or burglary?
No.
You indicated you saw pictures. Do you recall seeing a piece of artwork on the wall of the living room inside that condo?
Yes.
Can you describe it for us?
I believe it was in the dining room area on the north wall. I don't know if it was a lithograph or a poster. It was of O.J. Simpson, and I believe it was in black and white.
And did you recognize him in that litho?
Yes.
Okay, after you got to the living room, then what did you do?
Officer Risky was directing us and saying that, I can't recall if he said if the door was wide open, but it was at this point. He walked us onto the landing, and as he walked onto the landing, he shined his flashlight on heel prints, footprints, shoe prints in blood, and pointed out at least one drop of blood to the left to make sure that we didn't step in that area.
Okay. When you say the door, which door are you referring to?
The front door.
Okay. And when you got to it with Officer Risky and Detective Phillips, it was wide open?
Yes.
People's Exhibit 45F.
No. Mm-mm.
I'm sorry, People's Exhibit number 35. I'm sorry, I believe it's 55. You'll need to cut the feed for this photo.
You recognize what you see there, sir? Do you recognize that?
I recognize the photo, yes.
Okay. Can you tell us what vantage point that's taken from?
It appears that it's taken from the landing that you would walk out onto from the front door. Looking down on the female victim, you would be looking in a northeasterly direction.
Does this describe what you were able to see? This photograph is pretty dark, but were you able to get this view of the bodies and the evidence from where you were standing at the top of the landing with Detective Phillips and Officer Risky?
Yes.
Were they using their flashlights at the time, sir?
Excuse me?
Were they using their flashlights at the time?
Officer Risky was. He was using his to point out any evidence or anything of value that he wanted to show us.
Okay. And is that, who's that man in the photograph there pointing to the bush?
That's me.
Can I get the...
People's Exhibit 54-2.
Are these pictures getting darker, Your Honor, or is it my imagination? They seem... Maybe it's just me. Maybe I need glasses.
Ms. Fitzpatrick, I think it appears to be, oh, it looks okay to me. My technical staff tells me it's not degraded.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ron. Can you see, sir, can you see, sir, what is located underneath the bush?
Yes.
And what is it?
The foremost in the picture is a glove, and above it appears to be a dark blue knit cap.
Now, when was the first first time that you saw those two items in particular that you were able to detect what they were?
From that landing, Officer Risky shined his light on those, once again showing several objects that he had previously seen.
Okay. And was he the one that pointed out the glove and the cap underneath the bush to you?
Yes.
What else did he point out, sir?
I believe he pointed out a white envelope that was just south of the male victim, close to the sidewalk. He pointed out a pager. I believe I observed a menu below the female victim. I'm not sure if I determined if it was a menu at that point, but I saw something. And he made a point to show us heel prints and shoe prints that appeared to be imprinted in blood that were leading westbound from that scene.
Did you, at that time, notice any shoe print near the evidence of the hat and the glove?
Yes, I saw a shoe print, but it was a good distance from me at that point.
So at that time, were you able to detect any shoe prints near the evidence of the hat and the glove?
It appeared to be that there was a shoe print there, but I wasn't very close to it.
Okay. In order to discern what those items were underneath the bush, was it necessary to use the light of the flashlight?
I believe it was. It certainly aided Detective Phillips and myself to see those items.
Okay.
People's Exhibit 54-4.
You recognize that, sir?
I believe it's the white envelope I observed that morning.
Now, earlier you said heel print between the, heel print in blood, bloody heel print, near the evidence of the hat and the glove. Do you mean heel print by a shoe or barefoot?
By a shoe.
All right, after pointing out the evidence you've described, sir, you said Officer Risky pointed that evidence out. What happened next?
He pointed at the direction that the shoe prints that appeared to be in the blood of one or both of the victims was marking itself onto the sidewalk and leading westbound. He also pointed out several drops of blood to the left of those footprints.
When you say footprints, do you mean barefoot or shoe?
I'm sorry, shoe prints.
Okay.
People's Exhibit 45E.
Are you able to see anything? Well, first of all, sir, do you recognize the location shown in this photograph?
And I believe this is the walkway, yes, and this is the walkway leading west on the north side of the residence, away from the landing that we were just viewing the female victim.
Okay. Is this the walkway that leads out to the rear alley?
Yes.
Tell us what else you see in this photograph.
I see shoe prints that appear to be dark and imprinted in what I believe to be blood that morning, pointing westbound.
People's Exhibit 45.
Could you direct the illustrator, direct the arrow to circle the shoe prints that you see in this photograph, sir, and that you saw that night with the assistance of Officer Risky?
A little farther down, stop right there, circle.
that it?
Directly above, stop, circle.
Wait a minute.
Let me try that.
And then one more that I can see in this photo. Stop, right. That's close enough.
Thank you. And then you indicated that you saw blood drops to the left of those shoe prints.
Yes, a few.
Did someone point those out to you, sir?
Yes,
And who was that?
Officer Risky.
While he's printing, sir, let me ask you a couple questions. You said you came out the front door and stood on the landing with Officer Risky and Detective Phillips and looked at the evidence as Officer Risky pointed it out to you with his flashlight?
Yes.
Okay. Did you get any closer to the bodies than that?
No.
You stayed up on the landing, did you?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever go down the stairs and step into the crime scene or step over the body of Nicole Brown?
Later that morning, after I returned from Rockingham, yes.
No, but I mean at this time, did you?
At this time, no.
And so what is the closest that you got to the bodies of Ron Goldman and Nicole Brown at that time, 2 a.m. in the morning?
Standing above them on the top of the landing.
You want to pay this? This is People's Exhibit number 44B. And you can cut B to this one. Yes.
Do you see, now you indicated earlier, sir, that Officer Risky pointed out bloody shoe prints to you.
Yes.
Do you see any of those in this photograph, sir?
Yes, just off center and almost the middle of the photograph. There's an almost square imprint that appeared to be a heel print from a shoe. And in the pool of blood, I remembered a shape that is the dull portion in the center of that pool of blood that looks almost the same size as the impression on the step right above it.
Okay, why don't you direct the telestrator, direct the arrow to what you're talking about in the pool of blood and also in the subsequent shoe print.
Move to the middle of the blood, just the middle at the top. Yes, right there. Circle that.
Which way?
Circle, nope, back up. No, start over. Move the arrow down, stop right there and make a large circle the other way.
This is not obvious.
Too large. Circle should be about the same size as the imprint on the step just to the left of it.
Is it somewhere in there, sir?
It's pretty close. It's a little more to the upper right.
Maybe we could let the witness do it.
Should we do that?
Could we? Want to try?
I'll try.
I mean, we've only got another 20 minutes today, and
It couldn't be any worse.
yes, it could. I could do it. Is it tangled?
Now, can I use this on the screen, or do I have to use it on this?
On that. It's harder that way. Okay. Thank you. Print. Can you put your initials on it, please? Up at the upper left-hand corner, please. We're missing part of that.
Mr. Fairwell, what do we want to mark this?
You know what? We're not done with this yet, Your Honor. If we could, I'm going to have him mark another one, a couple while he's there.
All right. I just want to be able to identify it for the record.
Oh, yes. What is this number?
This is People's Exhibit 45, B, so it would be B3.
B3,
45B3.
45B3.
All right. Do you see any other of the bloody heel prints or shoe prints that were pointed out to you by Officer Risky that night?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's People's Exhibit 45B1.
Now how do I erase the arrows?
Okay, wait.
Oh, I've got it clear. Oops.
Oh, no. This is devastating. Okay. Next time, do undo.
Try this again here. Whoop.
Okay. Undo.
Okay. I'm getting it.
Your Honor, may the last print of the circles of the steps going up the walkway be marked as People's Exhibit 45F1.
What happened to 44B1? All right, never mind. We'll straighten that out.
Do you see any other bloody shoe prints in this photograph, sir?
I cannot.
Did you walk with Officer Risky then towards the alley down the walkway?
Yes, he directed us to walk to the right of the prints, and yes, we walked to the rear of the residence.
Okay. As you all walked, did Officer Risky lead you?
Yes,
Okay. And was Detective Phillips with you as well?
he was directly in front of me, yes.
Did Officer Risky warn you where to stay away from as you walked down the walkway towards the alley?
Yes,
And did you avoid stepping in any of the bloody shoe prints or blood drops?
yes.
At some point going westbound on that walkway, sir, did the shoe prints fade out?
Yes, they did.
At what point?
It seems before we entered into a step-down area into a trough. I say trough, it's an area where you step 4 or 5 steps down into an area that levels off for several feet, then steps lead up once again and leads to the rear gate of the residence on that pathway to the alley.
By the time you got to the rear gate that leads out into the alley, sir, were you able to see any more bloody shoe prints?
I did not know.
As you were walking westbound in the alley, were you following those bloody shoe prints, the path that they took?
I was following Officer Risky, and he was pointing out things that we should note, and I saw them fade at a certain point.
Did you happen to note how many blood drops to the left of those bloody shoe prints you saw between the landing and the rear gate?
I didn't count them. I would say several, but I didn't count them, and I never went back to count them, so I couldn't say anything more than several.
You don't, do you have a present recollection of that? How many?
Three to seven, 3 to 5.
When you got to the rear gate area, did you make any observations there?
Officer Risky pointed out some blood on the gate, some smudging on the upper rail of the gate. I noticed some blood dropping on the center of the gate, the mesh part of the gate.
They have to have it there to print it out.
There appeared to be evidence of possible blood on the bottom rail of the gate. I noticed a blood smudge around the door turn knob lock on the interior or the east side of the gate.
You know what, Jonathan, can I have a picture?
Yes. People's Exhibit number 48, F.
Do you recognize what's shown in that photograph, sir?
Yes.
What is that?
This is this trough area that I was describing, and these are the steps leading out of it westbound up to the rear gate, which in this picture is open.
Okay. And is that the rear gate where you just described seeing the blood droppings on the lower rung and the middle, and then the smudge on the latch?
Yes.
And what else were you able to see on that gate, sir?
Not at that time, but later I saw a partial possible fingerprint that was on that knob area.
Did you then walk through the rear gate, sir, with Officer Risky and Detective Phillips?
Yes.
And did he point anything out to you in that rear driveway?
Yes, there was other blood drops and change that was strewn on the driveway to the north of the Jeep.
Was there some effort made by yourself, Detective Phillips, and Officer Risky to avoid touching the blood on the rear gate?
Yes.
What did you do? How did you avoid it?
Either keep your hands in your pockets or keep your hands on your notebook and you don't touch anything.
Was the rear gate standing open when you got to it?
It was open.
Do you recall Officer Risky pointing out a blood drop near, just inside the rear gate?
I don't recall that. But he could have. He pointed out several pieces of items in that first walkthrough.
And if he had, would you have avoided it, sir?
Yes.
Now, what, if anything, do you recall being pointed out to you by Officer Risky out at the rear driveway area?
The drops of blood in the change, and he did make a comment that they didn't continue into the alley. I went into the alley and observed that for myself. I couldn't see any.
And how did you look in the alley to look for blood drops?
Using a flashlight.
The fact that you saw a blood drop on the driveway, but you were unable to observe any in the alleyway, was that significant to you?
Yes.
Why?
I would conclude that the person either stopped bleeding or entered some form of transportation.
People's Exhibit number 48H. People's Exhibit number 48I.
All right, sir. People's 48H and I, do you recognize what's depicted in those photographs?
It appears to be the size of blood drops that I saw in the rear driveway, and this appears to be the smooth concrete driveway in the rear of the residence.
Okay. Is that the blood drop that was pointed out to you by Officer Risky that you just described to us?
It looks like most of the blood drops that I saw, yes.
And to what side, if you're exiting, as you were, if you're exiting the rear gate, walking west, come out of the rear gate, the Jeep would be to what side of you, and the blood drop would be to what side of the Jeep?
The blood drop would be to the right of the Jeep, which would be to the north of the Jeep, and the Jeep would be to the left or the south of the drop. And the,
Yeah. Okay. Was the Jeep to the south of the rear gate area?
yes,
People's Exhibit 48J.
And, is that, do you see the Jeep that you've been describing to us, sir?
yes, a black Jeep Cherokee.
And is that the position in which you found it when you were shown the location by Officer Risky in the company of Detective Phillips?
Yes.
You recall those garbage cans there, sir?
I think there was some there. I don't recall their exact description, but I think there was garbage cans there, yes.
From what you recall of the crime scene of that area that night, was there room for a car to park between the black Jeep and the garbage cans?
I wouldn't think so, no.
Or between the black Jeep and that wall or curb there?
I don't believe so. That would have been extremely tight.
You described change that you saw, sir?
Yes.
Do you recall where it was in relation to the Jeep?
To the north of the Jeep.
People's Exhibit 48K.
Do you recognize that, sir?
It's a dime and a penny. That's, I believe, the denomination of the change that I saw on the ground was, I believe, pennies, dimes, and maybe a nickel.
How far, if you can recall approximately, was that change from the blood drop that you saw in the driveway?
It was in the same general area.
And were there any bloody shoe prints in that driveway area?
I did not see none, or see any, no.
After you went out into the rear driveway and attempted to examine the alley for blood, what did you do next?
Well, at that time, Detective Phillips and Officer Risky walked back out onto Dorothy, and I re-entered the house to start catching up on the notes from what had been shown to me so far and what I have observed.
Okay. Now, what do you mean by catch up on the notes?
Well, we were walking, and I was trying to take mental notes. And when I got an opportunity to bring myself up to date with those notes before I lost track of anything Officer Risky brought to my attention or anything that I observed.
Now, is that something that you customarily do at scenes that you're handling, sir?
Yes.
And what is the purpose of making those notes?
To start preliminary notes so I know who to direct and to where, to get my logistical organization set in my mind what I'm going to need for this scene, what I need for criminalists, serologists, trace evidence, fingerprints, photographs. Do I need light trucks? Do I need more personnel? Enlarge the scene, shrink the scene. I have to catch up with what I have, what needs to be preserved. How are we going to do that? How do we recover it? So there's a lot of items that I have to start thinking about for notifications to get people to the location to do what they need to do.
Okay. Now, so you walk back through the house again, entering through that same, excuse me. You re-entered the house through the garage, is that right, sir?
Yes.
And was that the same path going to the right of the Ferrari?
Yes.
Where did you go all look throughout the house, or did you walk straight to the living room area?
I walked to the living room area. We had been previously shown the upstairs and the bathroom.
Who showed you that?
Officer Risky,
And when was that?
during the initial walkthrough.
Okay. So when you went in with Detective Phillips and Officer Risky, he showed you the kitchen area, did he?
Yes, he didn't, we didn't walk through the kitchen area. We walked to the right of it. He showed us. He just took us upstairs and said showed us candles burning in the bathroom. There was candles burning in the living room.
And did you notice upstairs what the condition of the master bedroom was?
There was nothing disturbed that I saw.
Okay. By disturbed, did you see any evidence of blood?
No,
Did you see any evidence of drawers pulled out?
no,
Did you see jewelry thrown around?
no,
Did you see clothes thrown around?
no,
Did you see bloody shoe prints on the carpeting?
no, I didn't.
And in the bathroom, did you see any of those things?
No,
Did you look into any other rooms upstairs?
if we did, we didn't enter them. We just looked inside. There didn't appear to be anything that Officer Risky had discovered earlier, and there didn't appear to be anything that we noted
Anything?
of any unusual or evidentiary value, nothing that was consistent with the exterior.
Okay. When you say nothing that was consistent with the exterior, can you explain what you mean by that, sir?
There was a lot of blood evidence on the exterior of the house. Someone had fled the scene that was bleeding. We had 2 victims that had bled quite a lot.
And did you see any of that kind of blood or bleeding inside the house?
Not at all.
Any dirt that appeared to have been tracked inside from outside the house?
Not that I saw, no.
Or leaves from the foliage around the crime scene outside the house? Did you
No.
see that tracked inside?
No.
So when you went back inside and Detective Phillips and Officer Risky went out onto Dorothy, did you walk straight through to sit down in the living room?
Yes, I sat down on the edge of the couch nearest the right side or the south side of the front door.
So what was the purpose of going back inside? Was that to do another search?
No, I wanted to catch up on my notes when everything was fresh right then.
Sure. Yeah, I have here People's 104.
All right, People's 104. I'm sorry? I'm sorry, which are you speaking of?
I'm about to mark another exhibit. I'm just making sure it's 104 and not 105.
No, they withdrew that. All right, 104.
First of all, sir, I'm going to show it to you and ask you to tell me if these appear to be the notes that you took in the early morning hours of June the 13th, 1994 at 875 South Bundy.
Those are my notes, yes.
So that the jury can follow along, Your Honor, I'm going to ask that they be.
All right, these are 3 pages of Detective Furman's notes.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Proceed.
Thank you.
One, please.
Okay, do you recognize that writing, sir?
Yes, that's my writing.
That's yours. Are these the notes you've just identified for us, sir?
Excuse me?
Are these the notes you've just identified as having taken on the early morning hours, sir, of
Yes.
June the 13th? All right, when you say there at the beginning, at scene 2:10 hours, that 2:10 in the morning, sir?
Yes.
And what is it you're telling us there?
I'm just making a notation. My arrival at the scene was at 0210 hours. And I contacted a Sergeant Rossi, who's the morning watch or AM watch commander at West LA.
And then you put item 1, Officer Risky. And is that what Officer Risky reported to you, sir, in that first item?
That's what I concluded in other words, a condensed version, yes.
Now, what is the purpose of these notes? Is this a formal report that you're making, sir?